Hello, happy Saturday to you all. Saturday 3 p.m. kickoffs, hey? Who'd have thought it? It's been a while. Welcome to Carrow Road. Make use of these nice long evenings for as long as we've got them for. And maybe get used to these as well. Fifth successive win, I think. Norwich beating Coventry here at Carrow Road, 3-0. Felt like it could have been 6 or 7. Equally, could have been a lot more awkward and nervy. It was a very peculiar afternoon, really, and a very interesting one on a lot of levels, and then not so much on others. It does feel like it's been one of those long championship weeks, I must admit, and I thought in the second half it looked like that for some of Norwich's players, especially for the ones who'd started. Thought in here with some of the supporters it felt a little bit like that, and obviously not all of the supporters here would have been to all 3 games, but yeah, just an interesting psychology behind it all. Maybe get onto that in a bit. In terms of the pattern of the game, Norwich were dominant from the off, really, although Coventry always kind of carried a threat when they got into, when they broke forward, which they tended to do in terms of countering. There wasn't really much in terms of long progressive build-ups, which in fairness to Mark Robbins, I think he'd have rather have seen that, but didn't get to see it. Norwich to the lead through Teemu Pukki, and it was a great win of the ball by Marcelino Nunez. Great win of the ball in midfield off Gustavo Hamer. And even though Hamer tried to pull Nunez's pants down, certainly his shorts, actually a good advantage at that point because it could have quite easily just been penalised there and then, but the referee at least gave it a second or two before he made the decision, at which point he would have seen a wonderful through ball, and dare I say, Emi Buendia-esque. And Teemu obviously does so well to make the move, to be in the right space, to run onto it, to take the first touch, to open up the angle, and then slot home with his left foot under the keeper into the far corner. And that was the least Norwich deserved. And then their level dropped for a fair while. And actually, Coventry probably should, I hope I'm getting the order of this right, probably should have been level. They had a goal chalked off because Tyler Walker jumped with Tim Krul for a cross. I don't think he was offside when that ball was put in. He wasn't given for the foul on Tim Krul, which is what Dean Smith wanted. Then Tim sort of got the ball clear, and then the ball comes in. It goes straight in the goal. Walker has to duck under it because he's near the goal line, but to the side of Tim Krul. So he's not in anyone's eye line. He doesn't touch the ball. And therefore, in that phase of the shot, he's not really interfering with play. In all honesty, it shouldn't have been disallowed for the reason it was disallowed. And that would have kind of served Norwich right, really, because I thought they were just too comfortable, if I'm honest. The game was too easy for them, and I think they felt that, and their level just dropped. And then Coventry started getting space, getting a few positions where they had enough players to cause the remaining defenders an issue in terms of Norwich, and they just forced the issue a little bit. And Coventry probably, would have at least merited that for that at that point. But after that, Norwich kind of did pick up the level just before half time. They got a really, really good second goal, which owed a lot to Aaron Ramsey playing in a central role and Teemu Pukki using the left channel, because I think Norwich didn't have any natural width on that side, so they did need to kind of utilise that. They did basically play a 4-2-3-1 today with Nunez and McLean as the pivots and Ramsey central with Cantwell on the left and Sargent on the right, but it was quite fluid and they did work it well so that Josh did get his opportunities, and one was here, which is basically he was sitting reasonably centrally to pick up Aaron's square ball and side foot home. So it's a really, really well worked goal. And genuine quality for this level. And then the second half sort of bumbles along. Again, Norwich slightly slow out of the blocks in the second half. That's the second game on the trot. I don't really like that. They were lucky probably not to have conceded a goal. It was a really good save by Tim Krul, who stepped up when needed from Goyakaris. I think I've said that right. It was a decent. He was put through. It was a decent effort and a really good lingering foot by Tim to turn that away. And that was probably there was then a shot from Dabo that would, should have been fouled for brought up for a foul before that moment, and he missed the target anyway. And then Norwich sort of wrapped it all up. They had loads of chances. They made changes. Dean Smith had so many options. They looked a lot fresher when he made those changes. Kieran Dowell coming on, Jordan Hugill coming on a bit later, Onel Hernandez coming on. I mean, this place loves Onel Hernandez. The effect from what he did at Birmingham was obvious here because it was just so noisy and loud and brilliant. So, and I don't think Onel really knew what to do with himself other than to keep acknowledging it. It's like he couldn't stop himself acknowledging it. But he made a difference, brought some energy. Norwich do have that. They have that abundance of personnel to call on. They're in a great position. And it was actually Cantwell's ball through, which was very good for Josh Sargent, who just about held the ball up and squared it, and Kieran Dowell slotted home to make it 3-0. And yeah, job done. As I've said before, and I'll say it again, and I think I tweeted it, Norwich in third gear will be half of the championship. Across the quality of their squad, up against what they're playing against, and the level most championship teams can make to reach. Norwich will be enough to blow them away, which is what they've done today. Might be different over the coming games, which of course start at Burnley on Friday night. Norwich will have to play better than this and have to play better than they've probably played in a few weeks to deal with that. It'll also be a unique championship threat in a way. They're going to be coming up against a team that's probably a bit like Daniel Farke's Norwich team from 5 years ago. Lots of transition. They look susceptible to some of the more physical elements of championship football, but they do look very fluid and exciting on the ball, and they can score goals and win games. So really, really interesting test I'm already looking forward to, and clearly already talking about ahead of analysing this one. But I mean, this is what it is really. This is where Norwich are. It's a difference between the levels. I would just say, if there are any Coventry fans watching this, don't be too despondent. I obviously I know there's been a lot going on at the club, and I know that there's also been some issues with some of the players and whether they've been left out or rested or infighting. I don't know any of the background with that, but I thought Coventry created. They given they didn't play that well according to their own manager, they actually created quite a few really good opportunities, more than plenty of other championship teams have managed to do against Norwich. They looked a good side. Steve. There's Dean Smith leaving. I can't do it. Sorry, but there's people leaving. There they are. It did really well in terms of what he created. They did really well in terms of the opportunities they created against a very good side, and better than a lot of other championship teams have managed. So whilst you probably look at it and think, oh gosh, we've been smashed and we're bottom of the table. I mean, there's so many extenuating circumstances for what's happening around Coventry that I would think in a month or two's time, bearing in mind we'll be halfway through the season by the time the World Cup arrives. I don't think you'll be in that, or you shouldn't be in that sort of position. And Mark Robins again was really, really fair and reasonable in terms of how he described it afterwards. And maybe I just have a soft spot for Mark Robins because he's an old Norwich striker and a good man. But yeah, that's just my take on this afternoon, when maybe a lot of people go, oh gosh. So don't worry. As for Norwich, they've done what they've needed to do again. It's they just have enough to rack up a few wins. It's really great to have seen them win 5 games on the spin like this. We'll see what the coming weeks now offer up. But again, psychologically, it's just interesting because even though it wasn't really Coventry's day and they've had a really difficult start to the season with what's gone on at the Rico, as it still is in my head, and everything, the supporters were noisy all game, really, really great. And it was a bit quiet and stodgy in here, especially in the second half. And because Norwich's levels dropped, and they did drop, and everyone said they dropped, so did everyone in here. And everyone's a bit like, oh, this is a bit rubbish. And, and they're like 2-0 up. And that energy, that hunger doesn't really exist in a lot of at this club really at the moment, because it's been done before. It's so hard, and you kind of do, bad comparison alert, but you do sort of think to teams like Manchester City who win the Premier League all the time, and the atmosphere is rubbish when a newly promoted team rocks up and they beat them 4-0. it's tricky because you will have to prove that the players will almost have to do it on their own in terms of proving the hunger of their own careers and as a team to deliver what they all want, and as a coaching staff to improve the team and the group and to be excited. And that might be easier. Oh, sorry. That might be easier than what the supporters have to deal with, because I think they'll want to feel good about what they're watching. And, you know, I don't know if that happens in a second half like that, because it's like, oh, it's done. So it's, we'll see. The point I should probably make as well. By the way, I'm not criticizing anyone here. It's more just an observation. But by the time we get into some really big games here and under the lights, and there'll be some really key moments across the season, and Norwich might not come out on the right side of them. We'll have to see. But there'll be more intense moments than Coventry at home at this point in the season. Quite clearly, we're literally only in September. But in fairness, they are in a better position than I was expecting them to be at this point, and to be top of the league ahead of Sheffield United's game tomorrow, and to have won the games they've won, and to look pretty coordinated, and to have played some nice football, and to look so comfortable against average Championship sides does bode very well. Bodes very well. It's a great start, and long may that all continue. As I said, I think hopefully I've praised Aaron Ramsey, who I thought was excellent playing in that central role of the sort of three off Pukki today. Sargent was able to get chances, even though he was playing sort of nominally on the right. I thought Marcelino Nunez did really well in patches, but also looked like a player who will probably benefit from not playing until Friday. I think the Norwich players have got 2 out of the next 3 days off, so they are going to get a little bit of recuperation time, which is probably necessary. And that'll be good for someone like Sam Byram, who's obviously, they've got quite a settled back four. I don't think all of the back four are playing particularly well. I think it's the odd mistake in there that probably doesn't need to be. And I'd like to see a bit more from Max Aarons, if I can possibly say that. But that's come. It's early in the season, and what we'll get somewhere like Burnley is a situation where Norwich have to go and deliver. Let's see what they can do against a team that will be right up there at the end of the season, I am sure. I think that's it. Adam Eder missed today because he had swelling on his knee after his 10 to 15 minute cameo at the end of the Birmingham game. They're good. So it's precautionary, but they are going to monitor it, and they're aware that if it keeps happening, they might have to do something about it, or at least get it checked. That's not ideal. So we'll see how that all progresses. But there we go. Have a lovely weekend. Enjoy it. And I'm just keep thinking I missed something, but I'm sure I haven't. I'm sure it's absolutely fine. Yes, I don't really want to say too much more because we've got bigger tests to come, and they will come, and I'm looking forward to them. So I will see you up at Turf Moor next Friday, on the Ball podcast on Monday night at the normal time of 8 o'clock. It'll be me, Steve, Maddie McKenzie, and Darren Huckabee, I believe, all being well. So that'll be grand. And of course, keep check on The Athletic for some fabulous stuff on the way momentarily. In the meantime, look after yourselves. Have a wonderful week. Send some comments and questions in, because I always read them wherever you're watching this. Thank you for your time, as always. And I would just say, if make sure you enjoy this a little bit, because it's 5 wins on the trot. That's good. Don't take it for granted, he says to himself as much as to you. Au revoir, auf Wiedersehen, cheerio, goodbye, ta-ta. Let me just find how I'm going to end this, and then I will end it. Cheerio, goodbye, ta-ta.